The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
My sources are telling me that Brock Boeser is the real captain of the Vancouver Canucks, okay? So by that accord, you got to keep this guy. And JT Miller, he's back. Let's talk about it on Locked On Canucks.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yeah, you heard it first here on Locked On Canucks. Demko, he just returned. Miller is back. Brock Boeser signing long-term. What? Let's get into it all here on another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, co-host of Locked On Canucks and also a Canucks writer with Daily Hive Vancouver. Before we get into it, we got to thank you for tuning into Locked On Canucks because it is your Canucks every damn day, and we ain't nothing without you here listening and tuning into Locked On Canucks. We're also not here without those good old sponsors, and today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Go get a big return on FanDuel. If you're a new customer, you can place a $5 bet and get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Might be some wise money to bet on Brock Boeser and JT Miller to get the over on points tonight. Yes, JT Miller is just getting back into the lineup, but Brock Boeser hasn't quite looked the same without JT Miller, and JT Miller didn't quite look the same without Brock Boeser when he exited the lineup with a concussion about a month ago. So the two of them are back together tonight. What does it mean for the Vancouver Canucks in the short term? And we also want to get into the Canucks and Brock Boeser long term, okay? What does it make sense to pay this guy? Should the Canucks pay this guy, or should they consider trading him to help other parts of this team, okay?
Whoa.
Let's get into all that here on Locked On Canucks. Before we do that, let me introduce my co-host, the biggest JT Miller stan of all time, Kyle Bowen. What's going on, brother?
Yeah, man. I got to be there for JT Miller. Spoke to the media today for a couple of minutes. Didn't want to answer any questions regarding why he was away. He was asked how he was doing, though. He did smirk at that question, laughed at it, and then carried on about his excitement regarding the Florida Panthers in this game. I think he sees this being a big test, and I'm quite content with him coming back and it being Brock Boeser's birthday, all while the Canucks are struggling and now have to go against the Stanley Cup champions, the Florida Panthers. It's a big game, a big moment. It feels pay-per-view like, and I'm excited to watch the game tonight. But before we get to that specific thing, okay, Kyle Bowen, Trevor Beggs, 31.5-year-olds talking about the Canucks. Let's talk about Brock Boeser, right? Game number 500. UFA. I wouldn't say a lot of noise surrounding this topic, but it's fascinating because, you know, it's all about the moment, but it's also about tomorrow too. And before we know it, it's going to be the middle of March. And the question, right, regarding Boeser, what's he going to be doing next year? Where is he going to be playing? Should they trade him? All that jazz is being talked about. And I'm curious to know where you want to go about it. And before Trevor goes on a huge spiel about it, you know, we had a pre-production meeting with maybe a couple other producers, and maybe this episode in another life, alternate universe, maybe if we work for the media Illuminati, okay? The episode would be called 8 Million Reasons Why You Got to Trade Brock Boeser Right Now. But it isn't. It's about paying him, or is it about trading him? Beggsy, take it away.
Yeah, with Brock Boeser, I mean, reports this week from Nick Kyprios, if that's the source you call reputable, is that Brock Boeser is seeking a deal north of $8 million. And you know, really, that shouldn't be a shock to anybody. I mean, this guy scored 40 goals last season. As Kyle mentioned, playing his 500th NHL game tonight, has 402 points in 499 career games. And one thing that gets overlooked, again, he's been on a lot of bad Canucks teams, but he was arguably the team's best forward in the playoffs last season. So, you know, I think there's a healthy debate on either side in terms of whether the Canucks should sign Brock Boeser or trade Brock Boeser. And in terms of the trading Brock Boeser one, it makes more sense to trade him if the Canucks start to bow out of the dance, if they start to look like a mushy middle wild card team. Because this is a player, again, that's going to command a healthy raise. Let's not call it a hefty raise, but a healthy raise. You know, obviously he's battled, you know, some injuries, some inconsistencies, but, you know, he is in a contract year. He is in a prove-it year, and I think hard to judge him too much right now because he started the year strong. Gets a concussion, and he hasn't really looked the same since he's been back. But he's not without his bro. He's been without JT Miller.
Oh man.
But in terms of Brock Boeser and the contract, look, I think if you get Brock Boeser in a deal long term in the neighborhood of $8 million, I think that's the deal you sign and you keep the guy. That being said, if this team starts to show that they truly aren't a contender, the defense can't hold up, the depth isn't holding up, if things start to go wrong, then to me, it makes more sense to trade Brock Boeser.
Wow, dude. And look at this comment coming in from Eugene Wells. Okay. Trade Pedersen and keep Brock. That's something else. Unreal. That's where it's going right now. All that being said, Trevor, you talked about you think the Canucks should keep Boeser if it's $8 million. Why don't you explain why, man? Okay, just speak with your heart, man. Well, why is that? Because we talked about Pedersen a lot yesterday. And again, I think he's a play driver. I think he's that dog. I think he's that guy. I don't know if Brock Boeser is that guy. And when you're paying $8 million for a player, do you need him to be that guy? I think some people may be scared of the Pedersen money, and now they're scared of $8 million. You know what I'm saying? All that being said, I'm gonna let you answer the question. Like, why do you think they should sign him? Because I kind of agree too.
I think he brings a lot to this team, and right now you want at least 4 top 6 wingers if you're a Stanley Cup contender. And right now the Canucks have Jake DeBrusk, they have Connor Garland, and Brock Boeser. Right, like Brock Boeser is that guy, and long term, I do think it's a conversation about if the Canucks keep both Brock Boeser, and Jonathan Lecker-Mackey. Right, like if Brock Boeser is going to sign, let's say the JT Miller deal, maybe he signed 7 years and $8 million. Does that mean a guy like Lecker-Mackey is going to stay long term? I do think that probably Brock or Leck is going to go at some point because this team does need to trade and get a top 4 defenseman.
I see what you're doing there. Point. You broke it down. Trevor Beggs, breaking news right here, man. He broke the math down. I don't know what calculator you're using. I can't believe it, man. That's the truth right there. I was trying to figure out how the Canucks are going to do it this year in the moment, fix their defense. And that's like, I don't want to trade Lecker-Mackey. I don't want to trade this or that. Like, that's too many asset going out the window, blah, blah, blah. But I think Trevor's right. You either got one of these guys moving forward because this team needs a lot of help, right? You can't have it all. And I feel as if you're right, Trevor. It's either Jonathan Lecker-Mackey or Brock Boeser. And that is that's something, man. What did you drink this morning, man? How'd you think of that one?
Shout out to the espresso here at the office, but I'm not saying it's a given conclusion, right? Like you mentioned, you want to have 4 top 6 swingers, and the Canucks right now, I think they have 3. I think Kiefer Sherwood has had moments of like looking like a top 6 guy, which has been kind of crazy. But in general, I think the defense is such a weak spot on this team, and every NHL team has flaws. I mean, look at the freaking Edmonton Oilers, the Stanley Cup favorites heading into the season. They got goddamn Kasperi Kapanen and Vasily Podkolzin in their top 6 right now. So every team's got flaws. And the Canucks, I think they are going to have to deal from a position of strength at some point. And I think it's going to be Brock Boeser or Jonathan Lecker-Mackey that nets them the top 4 defensemen they're looking for. And honestly, like they both have their merits because Brock Boeser is the proven player. He's the proven commodity. I think there's some intangibles, which makes the nerds go ick, but some intangible reasons why you want to keep Brock Boeser over Jonathan Lecker-Mackey. But from a pure dollars and cents standpoint, kind of makes sense to trade the guy who's due for a hefty raise and hope that if you believe in Lecker-Mackey, that he's the guy you keep long term. So I kind of want to see what in the comments again, whether you're watching live or listening after the fact, get in touch with us. Are the Canucks going to keep both Brock Boeser and Jonathan Lecker-Mackey long term? And if not, who would you rather see the team trade?
Damn, okay, Trevor, let's see what you're wearing today, man. Well, this guy has the look at this guy today, man. Unreal, man. Unreal, all gray, feeling great, standing. Okay, if your boss sees you, it's done. Okay, you're gonna turn into a full-time hockey podcast. You get down right now. Okay, come on.
That's not great, man. That's turquoise, buddy. That's turquoise. Okay.
Turquoise. My bad. My eyes aren't working. Anyways, man, I get it though. Trevor sounds like a math prof right now, and some of that is making sense. Although there are some holes in your statement there. Like you're talking about every team needs 4 top 6 wingers. Like in theory, like isn't that a reason to keep both those guys?
Yeah, no, I think it is a theory, right? To keep both those guys. And like I said, I don't think it's a foregone conclusion, but ideally you keep both. But look at the defense. Look how bad this defense is right now, right? And again, they're hoping a guy like Mark Freeman, who is going to be in the lineup again tonight. It looks like Brancham and Desharnais are going to be the scratches. Derek Forbort and Mark Freeman on your third pairing. I mean, look, the defense is a mess right now. And I know Hronek's out of the lineup, but
that's only one guy. That's only one guy that's out of the lineup.
Exactly.
And look at those names on that list that are playing against the Stanley Cup champions. The Florida Panthers, right? And I think you're onto something, man. I think something of that vein may happen. And I mean, this is maybe why you were so adamant on this month being so important. And I was smoking the happy stuff, the 420 stuff, the patient stuff yesterday, and I'm kind of like, yo, it's not the craziest month. But you were talking about this being the biggest December in Canucks history, right? A lot of narratives to be written here, and let's see how gritty and tough the Canucks are. Let's see how great their goaltending is. Let's see if they earn a trade like this, because both those names that you brought up are definitely big. Let me talk about why I'd like to keep Brock, man. Okay. Trevor, do you have the Uncle Ricky bump?
I sure do. Let's go.
Can you
Let's
just press
go.
it?
Shout out
I'm gonna
Uncle
open up the
Ricky.
group chat. Yeah, one left, Uncle Ricky. Okay, so there's this dude. One of the biggest reasons this show can happen. Okay, you can read the autobiography in 45 years. All right, he's been saying we got to keep Brock. Like he's been on that testament. Yo, he's trying to start a GoFundMe and raise millions, so no matter what, they can just keep Brock. And I'm like, yo, this guy's a 70-point guy, like a one-time, like a 40-goal score. It's like one of those. He's just. Is he the guy you need to go all out for all the time? I don't know. The way this guy's talking about him, wanting to pay him $10 million, he's joking, but he wants him, to be a Canuck forever. It's something else. But look at this, okay? $10 million is new economics for Brock. He's joking about the 10 million again, okay? But he's learning from history. Brock is the real captain of this team, and here's why. This guy's got sources, all right? When Brock Boeser got his back broken, I think he's paraphrasing there. The back wasn't broken, but something happened. He got hit by
Clutterbuck rookie year,
yeah. Okay. Vertanen gets sent to the KHL years and years and years later. Like Vertanen's, again, the glue guy was removed from the locker room, and look what happened. Okay. How about this, Brock? All right. The best playoff player last year, right? The best playoff player. He gets removed from the Game 7 lineup because the universe is mad sometimes. Blood clot, health, biology. It's unfortunate. And there the Canucks are playing one of their most important games in franchise history against a Canadian team, Game 7 at home ice. And they laid a dud. Again, what they did in that game is what the Canucks have been doing for the past 25 games this season. Like, they were sleeping for 50 minutes, okay? Without Brock. The glue guy wasn't there. And this one, I don't even want to say the last one. The last one is too close to the source, okay? It's too close to the source, and I'm not there. You got to join the Discord if you want to know about that story, okay? Anyways, based on how different this team is, individually speaking, with the people in that room, Quinn Hughes, new captain, Miller, Pettersson, all this blah, 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 right? Doesn't it seem like Brock Boeser? I'm even going to throw Rick Tocchet in the mix, like all these personalities in this room. Don't you feel like Brock Boeser is... And I know it's about winning, but don't you think Brock Boeser is that glue guy? The guy that's kind of like in the middle of all these different personalities and all these things going on. And he happens to be a really good two-way player that could score 30, could get 70 points every year. And again, don't you think he's that happy-go-lucky, also serious guy you need in the dressing room? You know how everyone talks about, like, you need the feel-good guy, you need the guy who's going to play the music, you need the morale guy? Like, I hate that statement sometimes because sometimes you just waste money, like on Vincent Desharnais, and you try finding that guy, that morale guy to keep guys happy, keep guys loose. Don't you think Brock Boeser is that guy? And you need to keep a guy who's also that guy with his personality, but again, so skilled, such a good two-way player, so smart. I know he's slumping right now, but again, I think he's got 6 points in his last 9 games or something. Like, he might not even be that bad right now, okay? Don't you think they got to keep a guy like this? Because he sounds kind of irreplaceable.
It's a dangerous thing for an NHL team to pay for intangibles. That being said, with Brock Boeser, you have a guy who I think does bring the intangibles that you're alluding to, and that Uncle Ricky's alluding to, because he does have the persona and the personality to deal with a lot of different personalities. He's a very calm, cool, collected guy. He's a pretty chill guy. Even with media, he's pretty. It doesn't say a lot in conversations, but you can tell that he's got a good head on his shoulders. Obviously, the guy's been through a lot as well. But I just think he does have the right mentality to deal with a lot of different personalities. But again, you don't want to pay for intangibles. That being said, with Brock Boeser, you're not talking about a guy who just brings the intangibles. This isn't freaking Jay Beagle here. This is a guy in Brock Boeser who, again, 499 points in 402 career games. He has averaged, since entering the NHL, 30 goals and 66 points per season, right? And no, this is a guy that never hit 30 goals until last season because he missed a lot of time. But he has averaged 30 goals a season and 66 points. I mean, those are pretty damn good numbers for Brock Boeser. And again, I don't think this is a guy that's necessarily going to tail off unless, knock on wood, injuries hit. I think he is, a smart player. Now, obviously, one of the big knocks is the speed, which Mike Laval's pointing out in the comments. Brock's such a slow skater; he's replaceable. You don't see Brock Boeser get burned a ton. Ironically, in the St. Louis game, that was one of the games where you felt like his speed was really an issue. But that's the thing about Brock Boeser. He's not. I don't think he's an irreplaceable piece. I do think he can be replaced. But that being said, it's gonna be pretty tough to replace Brock Boeser, if that makes sense.
We're all over the place with this player. He's just fascinating, I feel like he's actually just super, super fascinating. A bit of an anomaly because I think some of us, again, we see the 70-point caliber type of guy he is. Again, not a play driver, in my opinion. But just consistent, smart, again, a really quality glue guy, team guy that you need in a really, really noisy market. I think he can just water down some of the noise by being himself and, again, being really talented on the ice. And, Trevor, like last year in the playoffs, he just thugged it out for us. I mean, last year in general, he thugged it out for us. He's gone through a lot in his life, and I think he's had ups and downs. And I kind of want him to finish off this story with the Canucks. I know it's a cruel business, but just based on the type of person he seems to be and what I've heard. And again, I can't even mention the last thing on Ricky's notes because it's so close. It's so close. It's too close, too soon. Okay. I don't want to get, bro, you see the news? I don't want to get taken out. You know what I'm saying? For saying what I was about to say. But there's just a chance that this team needs Brock Boeser more than the people think. Like, real talk. You think it's quote unquote bad now and we're still, 14 wins, 8 regulation losses in 25 games. But if you think it's bad now, like watch how bad it could get when you get rid of Brock.
It could get nasty. And speaking of nasty, I got to get to some nasty ad reads here on Not Locked On Canucks. Nasty in the best way possible, man. Again, you listen to Locked On Canucks. Your Canucks every day. We'll be back after shouting out our friends over at Indeed and FanDuel. All right. Are you feeling nasty? Are you down in the dumps? Do you need a job? Well, then you need to go check out Indeed. And if you're an employer, you need to hire, okay? And use Indeed to do that because they are your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data. And they got a matching engine so fast that helps you find quality candidates fast. So ditch the busy work, sit back, relax, scratch your sack, and use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed doesn't help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree that Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. One of the things I love about Indeed is that you can find any kind of job on there. You can find any kind of employee on there. You might just not be able to find one that replaces Brock Boeser. But Indeed, they leverage over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day, and their matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences, so the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Listeners of the show, you'll get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/lockedon. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and say you heard about our show on this very podcast. Indeed.com/lockedon. Need to hire? You need Indeed. All right, whether you've been on the NFL, the NHL, a little bit of pickleball, make sure you go check it out on FanDuel. They are America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win, okay? If you think JT Miller is going to get more than a half point tonight, go place that. It's pretty much a 50-50 coin flip right now on FanDuel. And again, if you bet $5 on that, you could win up to $150 in bonus bets. There's live in-game betting on FanDuel as well. So when you get that hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view the live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Again, new customers bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. And go check out FanDuel.com to join today.
People, we back doing this, and that's talking about Brock Boeser and talking about this game against the Florida Panthers against a more healthy Vancouver Canucks team, one that we haven't seen, again, this healthy in quite some time. Before we do so, let's just continue with the Brock talk, okay? Start up some comments, Trevor. The people are going off. Again, I brought up the whole Brock Boeser being the glue guy, being the ultimate Canuck. Something just tells me he needs to be here. It's deeper than hockey. Speaking of which, Trevor, is there any chance Begsy takes a Vancouver discount here? Like, I know we don't got the tax-free discount, but again, we're talking about a 70-point guy, an 80-point guy, maybe a point-per-game guy in the playoffs, big goals, plays hard. Again, that two-way game. He's somebody that I also believe maybe saving some gas in the tank for like different parts in the season. So he doesn't, he still has a lot in April and May, right? Like maybe that's one of my theories in my positive head right now too. Like maybe that's why we haven't got the best version of the Canucks, because the war of nutrition and what they learned from last year's experience. Like you don't have to go guns a-blazing, just pick up points and pick up dubs. You'll be fine, right? Again, he's a guy that's going to be Mr. Reliable in the playoffs. Like, do you think, his love in the core and the belief in it and in the city in that room and his place in that room allows him to be like, you know what, I'll take 5 years at $7 million per, or like 6 at $7 million per, or 7 by 7. Talk about it.
I think it's a possibility. I don't think it's likely now. I'm just thinking about the rest of the Canucks core. You could argue that JT Miller, he took a bit of a discount to stay in Vancouver. But aside from that, I mean, Pettersson didn't really take a discount. Tyler Myers, I guess, took a bit of a discount, but even I would argue that he's overpaid for what he brings. So I think it's possible he takes a discount, but I do think that $8 million is kind of the average range of contract for Brock Boeser right now.
Why can't he just take a discount? Take it, bro. Again, here's the thing, Trevor. If you're a true athlete, again, this may piss some people off, okay? The Findu talking about how athletes should do their thing. But if you're just one of those true champion seekers, right? And everything is everything that can give you a competitive edge at this stage of the game is on such a fine line. If you're seeing guys like Verhaeghe and guys in Dallas or whatever take a little bit less because they can still make decent change or more change than the rest of the players in the league based on their area code, like it's cool. It's unfortunate and it sucks that you don't have it that way too, Brock. But yo, if you want to win, you got to sacrifice too. Straight up. And like, there's no way I see this guy getting obviously more than JT Miller, right? Like 8.5 is not going to happen at all. But why can't you take a Hronek deal or something? I don't know. Because again, we're not talking about a 50-goal scorer here, and we're talking about a one-time 30-goal scorer, right? So just, yo, you know what I'm saying? If you want to get this done in the offseason, the during the season, like this time, like I could definitely see a bit of a hometown discount.
I think it's a bit optimistic. Look at the big contracts. You mentioned the Hronek one as well. Hronek signed for market value. Pettersson signed for market value. So all of a sudden, Brock Boeser is going to take a discount when the other stars have signed for market value.
Wow,
I don't really see it
financial
happening.
Guru, financial agency worker, man. Relax, man. Like this guy has a bigger heart than anyone on the Canucks. I feel that, man. I think Vancouver's a nicer place, a friendlier place because Brock Boeser's here. Okay, straight up, the dude loves dogs too. Okay. I think you just gotta remember. You never know. I want to win with the Canucks. The OEL cap space coming up. Alvin and Rutherford might run a tough bargain. Like, yo, you want to stay here? This is what we need from you. And just look at your stats, man. You're good, but come on, relax, buddy. Relax. Everyone's like the Travis Konechny, like comparison. Like that's the contract. I'm like, I love Brock and I love his effort, but Konechny's a better player.
It brings a little bit more to the table overall. But yeah, no, I think that's fair, right? And then Travis Konechny is he's getting a pretty decent raise here, cap it of 8.75 starting next season. But you also got a Flyers team that they don't got a lot of stars. They got a bit more wiggle room there, whereas the Canucks are going to be pretty damn close to capped out, and that's why this Brock Boeser negotiation, if he does resign, is going to be a huge one for this team. And again, we'll see how it transpires, but I think it's important to remember when you bring up Sam Reinhart, what you've seen in the comments, Mother Nucker saying Boeser's not worth the Reinhart dough, that he's close to 7 or 7.5. Carter Verhaeghe obviously takes a bit of a discount to stay in Florida, but you're talking about a team in Florida that A, just won the Stanley Cup, and B, they have no tax, right? So it's a very different situation than it is in Vancouver, where, again, it doesn't get talked about enough, but and no one has a sympathy for it, but in Canada, you're giving 53% of your salary back to tax. Then you got to pay escrow. Then you got to pay your agent. You're keeping less than half of what you actually make. And I know these guys are millionaires, and I know no one really gives a crap about it. But I think it matters in negotiations as well. So, and again, if the other Canucks aren't taking discounts, and JT Miller did so when he first got here, maybe he rubs off on Brock. I think that's the silver lining. But if Hronek and Pettersson aren't doing it, Brock's going to do it.
That's crazy because I think a couple months ago you didn't say Pettersson was taking the discount. You're on the dark side, buddy. Come on, man. You didn't take a discount. That if he rips it up in years 3, 4, 5, like, you know what I'm saying? It's not going to look like discounts. That's what we're saying. I think there is a chance that, if Pettersson starts ripping it up right now, again, making the Canucks just feel a little bit more sexier. Again, I didn't take a discount. Yo, Brock, you don't take a discount. You I did take a discount. You take a discount too. I know it's hard to believe, but you never know. You never know, man. I think there's a chance that Brock may do it for the city, man, for the city of Vancouver. Anyways, Miller back playing for the city of Vancouver. I don't know. What are your thoughts about this? What do the Canucks need to do? All this jazz, Florida in town. Let's talk about real hockey. And yeah, Miller returns. How you feeling?
Well, so Miller missed 10 games in total, which was kind of interesting in itself. But
Wow.
I
Okay,
thought it was
Trevor.
interesting that he that he talked to the media today, and obviously didn't really want to get into it. And like you alluded to, Kyle, when Brendan Boucher just asked like, "How are you doing?" he just kind of laughed and decided to talk about the game. So obviously there's something going on there. We're not going to find out about it. It's not really our business. But I'm curious how the guy's going to look tonight, and I expect him to come back and play with some fire in his belly. I mean, when they played the Florida Panthers earlier this season, he goes out and scores the OT winner and just has a huge goal for this team.
Wow.
So hoping for a similar version of JT tonight. But Kyle, let's get into a little bit more about the news and notes, the lineups for this game. On the other side, we're getting close to the end here on Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every day. We'll get some comments as well regarding all the Brock Boeser talk. Again, head us up in the comments. Do you think Brock Boeser can and should take a discount for the Vancouver Canucks? Again, we'll be back on the other side after showing it our friends over at PrizePicks. All right, if you're betting on sports, you got to go check out PrizePicks, okay? And especially not even just betting on sports, the daily fantasy sports, baby, because they got over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. And this number keeps going up, man. Unbelievable. On PrizePicks, you now have a chance to win 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app, okay? So make the holidays bigger and brighter with PrizePicks. They are the best place to get real money action while watching your favorite sports, okay? And now PrizePicks offers MasterCard for quick and easy deposits into your account this sports season. They're making it too easy, man. They're easier than... Okay, I'm not going to go there, man. Shout out to Surrey. Join now because this holiday season, PrizePicks is giving away 2 free picks in December, and they're giving away $30+ million in rewards during Picksmas, okay? So you can bet on things like JT Miller getting more than a goal the next week, Brock Boeser getting more than 1 power play point, maybe Kevin Lankinen picking up a win, Elias Pettersson keeping his point streak going. He's been kind of hot lately, at least overall in terms of the points, maybe not even strength, okay? But again, make those bets on PrizePicks. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's time to run your game.
People, we back doing this. And that's talking about your Vancouver Canucks. The comments going off on the YouTube side. One left to the podcast side as well. I'll leave us a 5-star review. Just say Merry Christmas, Kyle Bound and Trevor Beggs. Straight up, just say that. Maybe to write us a Christmas poem. I wrote one yesterday. It's pretty cool. I'll share it with you later, Trevor. Okay, I might sing some carols this year.
There we go, man.
Where am I going with this? JT Miller. Back in the lineup, Trevor. I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on with you, man. You got to start watching the Christmas movies, man. You bring up JT Miller, the first thing you do is bring up Brendan Batchelor. The question, how you doing? The response. Not talking about our first line center being back. You need to take a couple days off, man. I'm worried about you, man. All right.
I'm telling you, man. I don't sleep. I work too hard. I feel way too much like an adult. Come on, actually, I'm not working that hard. What am I doing here? I'm just talking hockey with my brother Kyle Bowen here on Locked On Canucks.
Hey.
I'm excited to see JT Miller back, and I mentioned it earlier this week, Kyle. Every day is no. When you asked the question, maybe I asked the question, I can't remember, but who was I more excited to see come back to the lineup? Thatcher Demko or JT Miller? And I said JT Miller. Partly because I expected him to be gone for longer. The fact that he's only gone for 10 games to me is a positive sign. And I don't know. I don't expect this guy to really need much time to warm up and get back into things. I think, again, he's one of the most intense players. Not on the Canucks right now, but I think to ever put on a Canucks sweater, he's a freaking intense guy. And he's going to be reunited with his brother, Brock Boeser. Curious to see how the power play looks because the power play kind of picked it up in his absence. I do think that's more shooting percentage luck than actual efficiency. But really curious to see how the power play looks with JT Miller back on and who's going to get bumped off. Not much insight into that at practice, but the Vancouver Canucks, again, we thought coming into the season they'd be a Stanley Cup contender. They have not lived up to that billing yet. But this is, again, the first time this season that we're going to have JT Miller, Brock Boeser, Elias Pettersson, And I was going to say Thatcher Demko in the lineup, but he's on the bench. Kevin Lankin is starting tonight. But the boys, the core, are really together right now for the first time in what seems like a long time.
No, it feels nice, man. It feels as if we're closer and closer to just feeling all holiday-ish with the Canucks. Okay, it's been a little dark here over the last three or four games. Okay, like, it really moves quick here as a Vancouver Canucks fan. Real talk, and I think on the Real Talk notion, Rick Tockett, he kind of touched on wanting to see Miller and Pettersson produce on separate lines at the same time, right? And I'm so excited for that because I feel as if we have not seen that in 10 months. So that completes what Vancouver Canucks hockey should look like. So again, Miller, Pettersson down the middle, a big game, Florida. I'm really happy they're playing one of the tougher teams in hockey, the former Stanley Cup champions or the reigning Stanley Cup champions. I think that's the perfect environment for this team to be tested because as Ash Neal is saying in the comments, and this is the one Oilers fan. The only Oilers fan that's allowed to watch this show and comment on the show is Ash Neal Lal, okay? Why? Because, again, he was my first friend in high school. Do the math, right? He failed Math 9. I was entering high school at Math 8. I mean, he was in my class. 1 + 1 is 2, Ash Neal. Where am I going with this, okay? He's talking about this question, okay? Why can't the Canucks beat any good teams? How about we shut that narrative right the F up tonight? Real talk. Let's do it.
Yeah, and I mean, it's funny. There was asking in the comments about how many playoff teams they beat. Mother Nucker saying, Mother Nucker, Florida, the Los Angeles Kings, and Boston. And it's not even hard to call Boston a playoff team. Like, they're in that spot now because they've been on a bit of a hot streak, but they've been on the outside looking in most of the season. The Calgary Flames would be the only other team that's kind of been on the bar. Like, it's not good. It's not good. And
it's not good enough. It's not good enough. It's not good enough, Trevor.
Thankfully, one of the teams they beat is Florida, but I do have this thought in the back of my mind, like, are they really going to beat the defending Stanley Cup champions twice? This team, the way it's constructed right now.
There you go, man. Trevor, you need some sleep, dude. Okay, you need a Christmas carol, man. Oh, Christmas tree, oh, Christmas tree. Yo, Trevor, smile. It's the holidays, man.
Yeah, buddy.
Just smile, man. Can the Vancouver Canucks really beat the Florida Panthers twice in 1 year? I don't think so. Dude, can we just say, yes, they can? We got Kevin Lankinen and JT Miller, a pissed off JT Miller. Can we end on this? So it was funny seeing JT Miller because he's got personality, man. He's an individual, right? Like smirking and laughing after, he told the media that he didn't want to talk about why he was away. And then the first question he's asked is, how are you, by Brendan Batchelor? And again, there was a bit of attitude and charisma and just overall a non-answer from JT Miller after he was asked that question. And, people are taking it in a lot of ways like, oh, what really happened? See, maybe it wasn't, or maybe JT Miller answered that question the way he did. Cause he's like, really? The first question I get asked is, how are you? When I left the team for personal reasons. And 2 weeks later, I was traded to the New York Rangers. And this was the main talking point on multiple shows. And there was also rationale for it to a certain extent being spewed on networks, and really the first question I'm asked is, how are you? Like, this guy don't have a smartphone, he's disconnected, but he's still also connected. And I just feel as if he can sniff out the BS. And I know there's hockey and media, they go hand in hand, and there's a relationship there that needs to happen. But I feel like JT Miller doesn't really oblige by any rules society kind of sets in place for him. He kind of just does whatever he wants. And if you don't keep it real with him, there's a chance that you'll never really get the real JT Miller anymore.
Yeah, I mean, the world deserves the real JT Miller. Let's end on a positive note here. James Moore bringing up the point in the comments. We beat the Florida Panthers twice last year, including a 4-0 win on home ice. So maybe, just maybe, the Vancouver Canucks to the Florida Panthers are the Philadelphia Flyers to the Vancouver Canucks, just like last season, baby. Even though this team hasn't shown their best, maybe
we kicked their ass last year. We kicked their ass. It was in December too. We kicked their ass, man. I think Joshua had 2 goals or something, or maybe just had 1. He stole it from Bobrovsky. I just remember watching that game on my phone, and Canucks brought it, man. Deep down, the Canucks are a really good team, and I'm really excited to see Quinn Hughes, the best player in hockey, one of them right now, partnering up with Boeser, Miller, and Pettersson. You know what? Off the top, man, I said it was Boeser's birthday. Why did I say that? Why did I say it was Boeser's birthday? I'm pretty sure he's just playing his 500th game. But I'm feeling I'm feeling like, yo, give Brock Boeser an early birthday gift, okay? Come on.
There we go, man. Let's get Brock Boeser an early birthday gift. Maybe he's getting the contract tonight. Who knows? But at least he's getting his brother back. And that is JT Miller. And I'm always excited, Kyle. Not only do we get to talk to the people about your Vancouver Canucks here on Locked On Canucks, but I get to talk to you because you're my brother too, man. So shout out to you, Kyle. Shout out to the everydayers, the occasional listeners, the first-time listeners, the new subscribers, and those of you who joined us on the live show on YouTube. But it don't matter if you're on YouTube or listening on podcasts. We appreciate you for tuning in whenever or wherever you're listening. Post-game show likely coming up tonight. I'll likely join.
No, I don't know. It's 50-50. No, maybe no post-game show tonight because I'm DJing tonight at 11 o'clock.
Okay. Oh, wow.
So,
Tough times. All right. Well, we'll see how it goes. But we will be back tomorrow here on Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every day. If you like what we're doing, subscribe and like this video on YouTube on the podcast side. Go follow us and leave a 5-star review. But for now, we got to get out of here. I'm Trevor Beggs. That guy's Cal Bound, and you've been listening to Locked On Canucks.